Welcome, everyone. I'm so excited today to have this interview with my dear friends. This is Diana Maganuco, founder of ValueMeN.O.W, a movement rooted in connection, consistency, and community. I created this space for women in all transitional eras of life to reconnect with themselves, add value to who they are, and find their village. Today's conversation is extra special for me because I'm joined by a woman who's been part of my personal growth for over a decade, Dr. Janine, known as the Intentionalist. Janine and I met in 2013 in Orlando, Florida, and we were both earning our leadership coach certifications through the John Maxwell program. Since then, her wisdom and presence have impacted my life deeply as a friend, as a guide, as a woman of intention. She's the author of two transformative books, Intentionality, 10 Ways to Live a Rewarding and Intentional Life. And most recent, It Is Finished. The end is not near, the end is here. Both books are bold invitations to reflect, reset, and rise. She also runs a group of companies known as the JDC Group of Companies that consists of four amazing branches of it. One is a fully fledged marketing agency. Two, a marketing training academy that I actually am in the middle. I'm in module number 3 of it and just did my website presentation. Three, business strategist and consulting, which you have guided me through. This is our second brand now building together. And fourth, leadership and grit, which is growth, resilience, intentionality, and transformation coaching. Today, we're exploring the question, how do we align ambition with intentionality through all our areas of life? Let's begin. Welcome, Janine. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity and inviting me onto your platform. I think when we started with this and you gave me the idea and the vision, I was so excited because that's one thing you do really, really well is add value.
Thank you.
I'm thankful for this opportunity and really excited for the vision.
Thank you. Thank you. You've been part of this journey since it was just an idea and a little spark. And you and your entire team are there main villagers, the OG. I don't know if you guys use that over there, but we use OG. You guys are the OG villagers that are bringing this to life. And I can't wait to bring it to you. So let's get started. Janine, you and I are both ambitious women. We're married, we're building businesses, leading teams, raising families, and doing the deep work of self-care. How do we stay aligned with our goals intentionally without burning out or disconnecting from who we are?
Well, I think burnout is a very real thing, and we can't just ignore it. We can't not acknowledge it. But when it comes to true intentionality, we are choosing self-alignment over self-abandonment. So burnout often stems from chasing goals without honoring your pace or your process. I see that with a lot of people is we are so focused on the goal, we're not looking at our habits that's going to sustain us to get to that goal. So we are not honoring the pace or the process. So I share this in my book as well, where I'm saying that understanding your personal why transform your habits from obligations into purposeful steps. So instead of us pushing this relentlessly and just going towards burnout, you have to pace yourself. You have to know the season that you are in your life, and you have to prioritize now your progress over perfection.
Mm-hmm.
So I think about this often is alignment isn't about hustle. It's about harmony. And I think sometimes we miss that. And also speak about work-life balance, that I don't believe in that. I believe in work-life integration. And that's where I'm saying is alignment doesn't come with the hustle. It comes with the harmony. Not for 1 second, you know me. Am I saying we should not be working hard? We work hard. Our output is important, but there has to be alignment and harmony. And yeah, something that I say often is that ambition without intention is like acceleration without direction. So we have to know where we're going as well.
Absolutely. I'm hearing connection. I'm hearing like your internal connection. You have to know who you are. You have to put in the work of who you are. And I know you've been a guiding light for me, and you see me through many transitions professionally, and that's the most important. Once you're aligned to yourself, uh, that doesn't change. The details could change on how you do it, but the vision, which is your connection, right? And then I heard some
Right.
consistency in there, right? Because if you don't have the consistent in those good habits, you're not gonna put that outcome, and those habits
Yeah.
that don't give you those outcomes. If you consistently do those too, they won't give you those outcomes.
Exactly. Exactly. The
Yeah,
first thing I look at when people don't reach a goal is I fall back on their habits. What do you do daily? What are you consistent with? Because the goal is an accumulation of what you do every single day and what you are consistent with.
absolutely, absolutely. That was beautifully put. One thing that I've also learned through this process is that sometimes plans shift. Dreams change. We have to pivot, and women often internalize that as failure. How can we navigate these shifts with intentionality?
Um, I think a lot of the time is I want to say that when things change, it's not necessarily failure. And just as much as what we define success, we need to also define failure. What does failure mean? Success means something else for every person, but so does failure. And I say that you cannot fail. You only fail when you quit. So throughout life, we're going to navigate intentionally the seasons that we are in. So when we pivot, it isn't failure, it's just direction. I really had to fall in love with the long way, the marathon part, not the sprint. Because when it comes to intentional living, it means that you are being deeply aware of the season you are in and you are adjusting your expectations. You're not abandoning the mission, like you are saying. Your identity should grow with your journey. And this is where we sometimes say, is you're not lost. You're just being rerouted on purpose. It's not failure.
Yes, it's actually a lesson, right? Like I know that every old Diana would have thought that that was a failure, but
Yep.
Diana now understands that every opportunity that I had and every job, every person that came through my life was all a lesson, right? Like I did
Yep.
not learning from that lesson pretty much is the failure if you don't learn from it. That's the failure, right? Not learning
Exactly.
from those mistakes. But pivoting to me is you have to pivot. The
We
world pivots every
and
day.
exactly, and I say this as well, and I think John Maxwell, it comes from John Maxwell, is we learn through mentors and we learn through mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the first thing I go to is when times are tough, I'm like, the very first thing I ask myself is, what am I going to learn from this? What am I going to take from this? I ain't going through this just to walk out empty handed. There's no way. So call me crazy, but sometimes I choose the harder way because I know it's going to bring out what's in the inside of me better than what I am now.
Absolutely. I'm into that. So now let's talk about some intentional relationships because relationships need to be intentional, right? I know you and I
Yeah.
have a very uh, an intentional relationship and not just a work relationship. How do we curate a village that reflects who we are becoming, not just who we've been?
I think the easy answer would be is to be intentional about your village.
Right?
Not everyone is meant for every era of your life. So relationships should expand your vision, not confine your growth. And I believe that we should invest in people who energizes us, challenges us, and aligns with our next chapter in our life. And something, a principle we were also taught is that you give to the people on the same level as you. You pull from people that is above you, and you pull up people underneath you. And I believe that being part of a village does that. So we are challenging each other, we are growing together, we're communicating together, we are expanding. And in that village, you get energized, you do get challenged, but it's also aligning you for your next chapter. And I say this as well is that you don't outgrow people with judgment. You realign with people that has vision.
Mm. That's
And
beautiful.
like I said, not everyone is part of this era.
I love that. I love that. You're reminding me of when we first started talking about Value Me and how we were going to create these villages. And I've always, one thing about me that I always had to find older women to pour into me. My mom was a very young mom. We were like literally raising ourselves together. So retail was a really big way for me to have intentional leaders older than me to pour down to me, especially those women that I would hire to work those 11 to 3 shifts, those moms that would just pour so much information to me, right? And then I had those younger employees and staff members that I would pour into them. And that cycle of, you just reminded me of my 20s and
Mm,
how blessed I was to be able to have that village
yeah.
amongst all those women. Um, so many women get stuck in survival mode because they feel alone in this transition. How
Mm,
can we how can we intentionally find or build a village in those moments? And I think you answered that already a little bit
mm,
before.
mm. Um, I think it's the alignment, is the group of people around you. Make sure you're surrounded with the right people. Jim Rohn has this quote that to make sure the 5 people you're surrounded with now is where you'll be in your future. So make sure you're surrounded by the right people. That's the point of a village. It's like-minded people coming together for purpose, on purpose, towards something greater than themselves.
Yes, absolutely. So what I'm hearing is the connection part, that you have to know yourself in order to know what kind of people you need around you, right? Because if you don't know yourself,
Yeah.
then how do you know what village you need around you? And then the consistency in those habits to make you intentional, to realign yourself and to know yourself through those seasons. And then the
Yeah.
community, finding that community will help you see who's aligned to your values and who will
Yeah.
add to you and who you will add to as well.
Yeah.
Oh, so beautiful.
That's it.
How can we trust our inner voice? Tell me, some wisdom from Dr. Janine. And I know that you have so much of it because I listen to your podcast. I know you and Chris, I just love how you and Christo, which I'm sure people will know who he is after they see this video because we'll be attaching each other. Tell me about that inner voice again and how you put yourself before anybody else.
I think stillness is a sacred starting point. I share this in my book as well, is that when you rediscover yourself, it involves getting quiet, questioning your thoughts, and affirming your own worth,
Mm,
coming back again to your own worth, who you are, your identity. You don't always need, or you don't need, I actually believe you don't need. Some people do. You don't need outside validation. You need inner confirmation.
mm,
So when you learn to trust that stillness, your voice becomes the compass. So I truly believe in it. I make time for deep work where it's just
important.
me and that still voice. And that's how I believe that we can, yeah, that also helps with self-neglect. You're obviously making time for yourself. You're listening to that inner voice, and you are working on what truly matters. Your
Yes.
future won't be your future without you. You
Mhm.
can't afford burnout. You can't afford the wrong people. You can't afford to walk through life purposeless and without the right people.
So true. So true. And then sometimes you have to be intentional about who you want around you. I knew when my husband and I were trying to transition from one industry into another industry and really didn't have guidance, and not that I told him, like, I think we need a business coach. I think we need somebody to really align our goals toward our mission and quiet the noise around us, because we're in the age, there's so much, everybody's influencing you from all types of ways. So really knowing yourself and what your needs, and then even if you have to pay for the support that you need, that's still support. That is
Yeah,
still support. Sometimes
right.
free support comes with a price. So
Yeah, true. Also, true.
so sometimes looking for a business coach or a mentor or somebody that's going to, hash these ideas with you so you can really do that inner work, and then getting that silence. I had,
It's
yes, go ahead.
No, I just want to say it's so true. I do not know how business owners and their managers or C-suite leaders make it without mentors in their life and coaches. You honestly need that. I mean, coaches have coaches. Why?
Mm-hmm.
Because we're always striving for more. We're always striving for the deeper meaning, for greater purpose. You have to have that. I like what you said, like even free, I would say free mentorship sometimes will cost you.
Oh, absolutely. Most of the time
It's
you're
just choose
mentoring.
what you want to pay for. Exactly. And is that the price you're
Exactly.
willing to pay?
Exactly. Exactly. Like you only get one life, you only get one shot. You have to really, you know, be serious and intentional about where you want to be and where you see your life. I know it was transformational for me to have somebody like you be my coach, because it wasn't just like a friend and us having a cup of coffee, because we have those conversations a lot as well. What I
Yeah.
mean? It's a different conversation. You're going in there intentionally, and you're prepared for the person that you are guiding through one of the most important things in their life, which is life. Like we need a coach, right? Like these MVPs would not be where they were if they didn't have more than one coach.
True. And you can never be the most intellectual person in the room. Then
No,
you're in the
oh,
So
absolutely.
you have to surround yourself with more intellectual people than you, smarter people than you, people who have achieved more in life than you. Like I said, for them to pull you up, to get you to that next level of your life and your journey and purpose.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's funny. I was watching a video the other day, and they were talking about where do you find your village? Because I've been doing a lot of research about where people do their village, and one gentleman said, he's like, find a gym. Find a gym. These are like-minded people. These are probably more entrepreneurs at the times that you go into. These are people that are disciplined. These are people that take what you, but if it's not a gym, it could be something else. It could be an art class. It could be, something in the business entrepreneurship field, a network, a women's network like mine, right? So go out there and find it. You have to be intentional about it. All right.
Right.
So I wanted to grab something really quick. Hold on. I wanted to grab your two books because I wanted to show. But the next question, hold on. I'm so proud because I was there in the room watching you in this process. While we were all Netflixing and chilling during the pandemic, you were very, very, very intentional about this book.
Yeah. Wow.
10 Ways to Live a Rewarding and Intentional Life. I remember, oh my God, such great
It's so
memories.
awesome to see that all the way in the US
All
and
the
you
way in the
actually
US.
holding your own copy. That's
Yes,
incredible.
it's here. It is here. And then I have not read this one yet just because I've been a little busy, but I love this. This is your latest one. And it's
That's
called
right.
It Is Finished. Wait, hold on. The end is not near, the end is here. And I cannot wait to dive deep into this one because I know this one is a very meaningful book for
Yeah.
you personally. So then,
True.
with that question, if you had to write a new chapter, a new book in your life right now, what would the title be, and how would you intentionally shape it?
Well, I would say I am busy with it. And
Ah,
so it's going to be called Intentional Business. I really have so much to share with business owners on the coaching and the mentoring side, and just running my own businesses. I have learned so much. I have a lot to impart, and I just want to put it all in one place to help other entrepreneurs. But if I had to call it a chapter, I would say Rooted and Rising. And the reason for that is it's about being deeply grounded in who I am while I'm still reaching towards who I am becoming. Because that's part of intentionality. The intentionality is the soil that I choose to grow in. It's rich with purpose, not pressure. And we spoke about that. Is your identity as a person? Where are you growing to? What is your purpose? You have to know who you are, to know what you need to get to that vision that you've set out for yourself. And intentionality in business will have a lot of tools and tips and hacks and real life stories of people and how they've managed to grow their businesses and walk through the things we spoke about it quickly earlier. Life is not easy. And sometimes there's hard things being thrown at us, whether in life, in marriage, in even business. And how do we navigate through those things? So intentional business, I'm busy with that.
I love it. Let me know if you need a testimonial.
Oh, great.
I love that. All right. So now let's just have some tips for our ladies or gentlemen, whoever's watching us. If there's anything that we could do to align our ambition with intentionality, just like one simple action that we could tell them that they could start today.
I would say start with one intentional action this week. Maybe it's just one intentional action today. And then throughout the week, it becomes an intentional hour. And what I would say to do is like be really practical. Turn off your notification, sit in that
Mm,
stillness. Some people like to journal. Some people like to take notes. I've seen some of my clients that love to draw in that time. And as they draw, it happens. For me, actually, it happens on the bicycle. So just be intentional. If it's an hour, whether it's a minute, whether it's an action, choose one thing to be intentional about. And it's normally something that you've been avoiding, right? Let's be honest.
like get the
Do that thing you've
procrastination,
been
like just
avoiding,
eat the frog. You remember eat the frog first. Just
right?
do it.
Yeah. And then just go do that thing that you've been avoiding, because you probably should have been intentional about that already, and make this decision this week to to tackle that truth, or to tackle that thing you've been avoiding. Be intentional about that. And I think success is doing the things that other people are not doing
Mm,
in the times when other people aren't willing to. So it's time to be intentional about the things that you should be doing, also the things you've been avoiding, whether it's an action, whether it's time, whether it's just having to sit in that stillness and being truthful to yourself. Um, Clarity isn't found in the chaos. It's cultivated when we are quiet. Therefore, we have to get these moments of stillness and quietness so we can be intentional.
I love it. Thank you. Thank you, Janine. Thank you for adding so much value to me and to the villagers and to anybody that's watching this through Substack or YouTube or any of our social platforms. Thank you for being intentional and this soul-filling conversation. Like your wisdom reminds us that ambition isn't just about doing more. And that's where we could really get stuck on that hamster wheel. I know it happens
Yeah.
to me too, sometimes.
Mm,
It's about being aligned with who we're becoming. To everyone
mm,
listening, whether you're in a season of blooming, of pivoting, resting or rising, know this: you are not behind. You are being called to live intentionally. Keep choosing yourself, keep adding value to who you are, and never forget that your village is waiting for you. And if you don't have a village, I'm right here for you. And I'll leave you
that's
with
it.
this. When you live with intentionality, adding value to yourself becomes a non negotiable, not a luxury. Because sometimes women think that's selfish. And I know you and I have talked about this, that sometimes you have to be selfish and you have to put yourself first. Thank
Mm.
you so much. I really appreciate you. I know it's kind of late at the end of your day over there. So good evening, and tell your kids I said hello, right?
Thank you.
Have a
Thank
good
you.
one. Ciao.
Thanks.